Everyone talks about emptiness syndrome like it's a tragedy to survive. But what if I told you that having your kids leave home is actually the biggest opportunity of your adult life? And most women are grieving instead of leveraging it. I'm about to share why your empty nest isn't an ending. It's the beginning of your most powerful chapter yet. I'm Ronnie from Third Act Society. When my daughter left for college, I fell apart. I went through every grief stage, moved to a different state trying to escape the emptiness, and honestly struggled to figure out who I was without active motherhood. But through that messy, difficult journey, which became the foundation for my book, Slipping Through My Fingers, I discovered something powerful. My empty nest wasn't actually an ending. It was the beginning of the most authentic chapter of my life and eventually led to building Third Act Society. Today, I'm sharing what I learned most about transforming this painful transition into strategic advantage and how to navigate the grief while still leveraging the opportunities that come with this phase of life. Let's talk about what everyone expects when your kids leave home. The articles, the well-meaning friends, the therapist, they are all preparing you for depression, identity crisis, feeling lost and purposeless. And yes, there's grief. Missing them is real. The house feels eerily quiet. You might cry when you make dinner for one instead of 2, 3, or 4. That's all normal and healthy. But here's what nobody prepared me for. The explosion of mental bandwidth and creative energy that came with reclaiming my cognitive load. For over 20 years, part of my brain was always tracking, planning, and worrying about my children. When that mental space returned to me, it was like upgrading my brain's processing power. The cognitive load liberation is real. You can think strategically about your own life again. You can start and finish thoughts without interruption. You can make decisions based on your own preferences, not family logistics. This isn't selfish. This is the natural evolution of motherhood. And if you're thinking, but I miss being needed, I understand that feeling completely. But what if I told you that your kids leaving is actually them succeeding at the most important job you had, raising independent adults? Your emptiness gives you 4 massive advantages that you probably haven't considered. Advantage 1, decision speed acceleration. You make choices without considering multiple schedules, preferences, and impact. Want to travel for a month? Book it. Want to try a new hobby? Start tomorrow. Want to change careers? You only need to convince yourself. Advantage 2, financial resource redirection. The money you use to spend on kids' activities, food, clothes, and college can now be invested in your own growth, experiences, or ventures. This isn't spare change. This can be thousands of dollars annually. Advantage 3, risk tolerance expansion. With fewer dependents, you can take calculated risks that weren't possible when other stability depended on your steady choices. You can bet on yourself in ways that felt irresponsible when you were providing for a family. Advantage 4, authenticity permission. You can rediscover who you are beyond mom, not who you should be, not what others expect you to be, but who you actually are when you're not managing everyone else's needs and schedules. The 3 empty nest traps that waste your advantage, let me tell you about it. Now, I say women fall into 3 traps that completely waste these advantages. Trap 1, the grief spiral. Some women focus so intensely on what they've lost that they can't see what they've gained. Grief is natural, but it shouldn't become permanent residence. You can miss your kids and be excited about your newfound freedom. Trap 2, the hovering pattern. This is when you filled your reclaimed mental space by overmanaging your adult children's lives. You transfer your need to be needed instead of developing new purposes. Your kids need you to model independence, not dependence. Trap 3. The waiting room mentality. Treating this phase as temporary. Waiting for grandchildren or other external events to give your life meaning again. This is the biggest waste of all, because you could have 20, 30, 40 years of this freedom ahead of you. The women who avoid these traps and leverage their advantages strategically, they don't just survive this transition, they create their most fulfilling years yet. Let me be completely honest about what this looked like for me, because I wasn't having some graceful awakening. When my daughter left for college, I was a wreck. I went through every grief stage you've heard about, and some you haven't. I was so lost that I actually moved from Maryland to Houston, Texas, while she finished college in California. I thought a change of scenery would help me figure out who I was without active motherhood. It didn't. I was just lost in a different zip code. The turning point came when my daughter, this incredible young woman I'd raised, told me I should move back to Maryland after she graduated. She could see I was struggling to find myself, and she was worried about me. That's when I realized I'd raised this wise, independent adult who was now taking care of me. It took time to find my voice and figure out who I was beyond mom. That struggle, that messy journey of rediscovering myself, became the foundation for Third Act Society. I was actually writing a book about this experience called Slipping Through My Fingers for Mothers Would Let Go. The interest archaeology process isn't instant or easy. The woman you were before children is still there, but excavating her takes time, patience, and often some professional support. Your emptiness journey doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be yours. I've actually created the Empty Nest Strategic Advantage Guide that walks you through identifying your reclaimed resources, rediscovering your dormant interest, and creating a plan for this next phase that excites you instead of scares you. Let me tell you about that in a moment. Let me share what this looks like in practice. Patricia was a successful accountant and devoted mom would never pursued her artistic interest because they felt frivolous compared to providing for her family. When her kids left, instead of falling into the waiting room mentality, she used her reclaimed evening hours to take pottery classes. Not because she wanted to become a professional artist, but because it brought her joy and she finally had time for joy. 18 months later, she's selling pieces in galleries, teaching workshops, and considering early retirement to pursue art full-time. Her frivolous interest became a potential second career. But more importantly, it reconnected her with a part of herself she thought she'd lost forever. Here's how to start leveraging your advantages today. Step 1. Resource recovery audit. Calculate what you've gained. Time, energy, mental space, financial resources. Get specific. How many hours per week? How much money per month? What mental bandwidth returned? Step 2. Interest archaeology. What did you love before children? What have you been curious about but never had time to explore? What dream did you defer until later? Make a comprehensive list. Step 3. Strategic experimentation. Choose one interest and exploit without pressure to monetize or perfect it. Give yourself permission to be a beginner again. Step 4. Seasonal perspective. Remember that your kids' independence is a sign of your success as a parent, not failure as a person. They're supposed to leave. That was always the goal. When you start leveraging your empty nest advantages, people might react. When they say, "Are you having a midlife crisis?" you respond, I'm having a midlife awakening. When they say, don't you miss being needed? You respond, I'm learning to need myself and contribute in new ways. When your adults worry that you're changing because they left, reassure them. I'm not doing this because you left. I'm doing this because you succeeded. You becoming independent means I get to rediscover independence too. The relationship evolution is normal. Some people will celebrate your growth, others will feel threatened by it. Choose to invest your energy in celebrators. This transition isn't always smooth, which is why having a clear framework and support system makes such a difference. Here's what I want you to consider. What legacy do you want to leave for your children? Do you want them to remember you as the woman who was lost without them? Or as the woman who raised them to be independent and then showed them what independence looks like? Your emptiness years are your chance to model what's possible in the third act. To show your children that your life doesn't end when active parenting does. It begins again when you pursue your interests, take calculated risk, and create something meaningful with your reclaimed resources. You are not being selfish. You're being inspiring. You're showing them that women don't have expiration dates, that growth doesn't stop at 50, that their success as adults doesn't require sacrifice as a person. Your empty nest isn't something that happened to you. It's something that happened for you. This is your opportunity to rediscover the woman you are beyond mom and create something meaningful with your accumulated wisdom and newfound freedom. The Emptiness Strategic Advantage Guide I mentioned will help you conduct resource recovery audit, guide you through interest archaeology process, and create personalized plan for this transition that excites you instead of scares you. It's designed specifically for women who want to thrive in this phase, not just survive it. You can get that free guide using the link in the description. And if you want comprehensive support for designing this next chapter intentionally, I work one-on-one with women who are ready to transform their empty nest into their biggest opportunity. We assess your unique advantages, identify your highest opportunity areas for investment, and create strategic plan for this phase that honors both who you've been and who you are becoming. If you're ready to stop grieving and start creating, you can learn more about working together using the link below. What's one interest or dream you set aside during active parenting that you'd love to rediscover? Share in the comment. Your courage to name it might inspire another woman to start her own interest archaeology. Remember, your children's independence is a gift to them and to you. Your reclaimed resources are meant to be invested, not wasted. Your empty nest years could be your most fulfilling yet. The question isn't whether you will miss being needed. The question is, what will you create with the woman you're rediscovering?